A very good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News, where we get you all the day's top developing stories. Let's start with the headlines. The first Indian Prime Minister to speak in Davos in 20 years, Prime Minister Modi to set the agenda for World Economic Forum with his inaugural speech in a few hours from now, tells global CEOs India means business. International Monetary Fund reaffirms Indian economy as the fastest growing in the world for the next 2 years, estimates 7.4% growth in 2018 and 7.8% in 2019. Full dress rehearsal for Republic Day parade is held today. ASEAN flag to fly over the parade ground for the first time, and All India Radio tableau to debut at the parade. Sena renews its threat to break its alliance with the BJP. Party National Executive passes resolution to go it alone in the 2019 Lok Sabha and Assembly polls. And Supreme Court rejects Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh's plea against the release of the film Padmavat in 2 states, refuses to modify its earlier order, saying that states must abide by it. Our top focus, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will set the agenda for the 3-day World Economic Forum in Davos today. Let's get you all the details from there. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be delivering the inaugural address in a few hours from now, and you can track those developments live right here on Rajya Sabha TV. Will be live, of course, from 3:30 onwards, where we'll be tracking that inaugural address. He will be delivering the opening plenary address at the 48th World Economic Forum in the afternoon, and the session will be moderated by the World Economic Forum Chairman Klaus Schwab. The Prime Minister will showcase New India to the global chief executives at the summit. He will encapsulate making of a new and young, innovative India, and also showcase India's investment potential at the summit. Besides the address, there will be 7 more roundtables organized by Invest India on various sectors. All 6 union ministers, including Railways Minister Piyush Goyal and Commerce and Industry Minister Suresh Prabhu, will attend these sessions. Now, after reaching Davos on Monday, the Prime Minister met the Swiss President Alain Berset, and the 2 leaders discussed ways to deepen bilateral ties, while Prime Minister Modi said that he reviewed the scope of bilateral cooperation and discussed ways to deepen it even further. The Swiss President said that the discussions marked the meeting of the biggest and oldest democracies in the world. The Ministry of External Affairs described the meeting as productive. According to PTI sources, it said that the 2 leaders are also believed to have discussed the progress on automatic exchange of tax information. The Prime Minister also hosted a roundtable dinner for 60 top CEOs, including 40 from global corporates. The Prime Minister narrated India's growth story and told top CEOs that India means business and presents exciting opportunities for the global businesses. And financial journalist Pranjal Sharma is reporting for Rajya Sabha TV from Davos, and he tells us more about Prime Minister Modi's first day at the WEF. Of course, Modi is the first Indian Prime Minister at the forum in 20 years, and he is leading the largest ever contingent comprising over 130 participants, including 6 union ministers.
The opening reception of the World Economic Forum's annual summit at Davos in 2018 was hosted by India. The Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion ensured that all the delegates had a fantastic time enjoying some of the best cuisines that India has to offer. The same evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hosted a dinner for some of the biggest foreign investors that are visiting Davos. He's taking the message of all the changes that have been taken by his government in the last 3 or 4 years, especially on tax reforms as well as on bankruptcy law. the big message that he brings is that the country is changing. There is a new India which is emerging, and big investors have to make sure that they have to be present in India, not just to make the most of the opportunities, but also to make sure that they are part of the globalized world that India is encouraging.
Well, Prajan Sharma, in fact, will be giving us continuous updates from Davos, and we're looking forward to that. He's, of course, reporting for us for Rajya TV here. Meanwhile, our Foreign Affairs editor, Akhilesh Suman, is also tracking all the other developments that are taking place around, and especially the reports and also the kind of feedback that we're getting as far as the Indian contingent is concerned, of course, led by the Prime Minister himself. Akhilesh, first of all, the significance of today's speech that we will be seeing in a few hours from now, the very fact that he is going to be the first Indian Prime Minister to address Davos, of course, in 20 years, and the fact that it's a plenary address, all eyes, of course, on Prime Minister Modi.
Right, Tracy. One of the most interesting things that before Prime Minister is going to speak in the plenary, World Bank and IMF has come with a survey. And its survey shows that India's growth rate is faster than China, and 2018 will be one of the most prospective years for India. So in that way, you can see that with this ground, Prime Minister going to speech in the plenary. So the whole world community, the whole business community is now aware of the fact that India is now becoming a major greenfield as far as investment opportunities are concerned. And you know that one of the major interesting thing about this World Economic Forum, that the plenary session is being started by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and concluding session will be ended by President Trump, American President Trump. So you can understand the type of the world's largest democracy Prime Minister is going to open the World Economic Forum, and the world's oldest democracy president is going to conclude it. So you can understand the message that this year World Economic Forum is giving focus on how democracies can work together as far as the economic growth is concerned, and also transparency is concerned. The whole Prime Minister spoke with the Swiss president, and you can understand that transparency in taxation system, stashing of money, these are the issues that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is there in mind. And also when he is going to speak, I think that he is going to give a message that the old story that foreign companies were concerned about the menace like bribery, commission, these are the things might be stories of the past, and Prime Minister is trying to make it transparent so that the government system can work together with the private system. And World Economic Forum, there is no big forum like World Economic Forum when you have a convergence of ideas right from the political side to the economic side. And now once Prime Minister is over with his speech, he is going to meet the Prime Minister of Sweden and also Prime Minister of Canada.
Yes.
And I also going to tell you one of the interesting things that this World Economic Forum is going to hear about, that the economic problems and monetary losses out of sexual harassment at workplace. This is also one of the major innovative things that World Economic Forum is going to consider, the world leaders are going to consider, that how gender equality is one of the most important factors in the world economy and the economic growth of certain countries, and especially countries which are developing very fast. So this is going to be one of the most important events of this year, I think, Tracy.
Absolutely. Gender equality is a dialogue, in fact, that has been focused upon all across the world. The very fact that you have female co-chairs, even for the World Economic Forum in itself, speaks a lot about it. And it will be interesting to watch, of course, what Prime Minister Modi does say in that meeting. Although indications are, of course, that India means business, which is something he has told the CEOs there during his meetings earlier. And that is the message that is going to go not only to the country, but it's an indication. It's also a message to the country as well, to India as well. We've really got to tighten up our belts, because it's time to talk business and do the business the way the Prime Minister wants it to happen. And that's a good messaging to the country as well.
Yeah, right, Tracy. You know that he is going to meet the Indian CEOs also after his speech is over, and then he will also meet the International Business Council. And whenever Prime Minister is talking, I think that he is also giving message not only to the world leaders, to the business community, but he is also trying to convey the message back at home that our society, our bureaucracy, our business environment, they should also tighten their belt. They should understand that what is the priority of the country at this moment when the whole world is looking towards you, because China has reached a maturity level, and next time is that of of India, where we have so much of skilled people, we have such a good energy of youth, both boys and girls, and we have a very good number of English-speaking people. So these are our advantages that
Yes.
Prime Minister is speaking, and he has been speaking every time that 1.2 100 crore people. So in a way that Prime Minister message is for both, right, from inside the country and also for the world. And I think that when you talk about economy, you talk about the whole social infrastructure also, because once businessmen from abroad comes, our own businessmen, they should not feel threatened about inequality and also about some of the social menaces, bureaucratic menaces that we used to face. So I think the message is by both ways, world and also domestic.
Absolutely. We'll leave it there for the moment, Akhilesh. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, Akhilesh will be joining us at 3:30 p.m. onwards when we go live, of course, to Davos, and we'll be looking forward to the Prime Minister's plenary address there. And of course, earlier at the annual World Economic Forum meet, it began with a special message from Pope Francis being read out at the opening ceremony. WEF founder and executive chairman Klaus Schwab declared the summit open amid the ski resort receiving record snowfall. The Pope, in his message, called upon participants to overcome fragmentation between states and institutions and work together to facilitate more inclusive approaches in an increasingly globalized world. He also applauded the summit's theme, creating a shared future in a fractured world. Railways Minister Piyush Goyal, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu, Reliance Industries Chairman Mukesh Ambani, PepsiCo CEO Indra Nooyi and IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde are among others who were present there. Winners of the WEF's Crystal Awards, Bollywood star Shah Rukh Khan, music icon Elton John and Hollywood actor Kate Blanchett were also in attendance.
From them I have learned how courage can catalyze victimhood into heroism, how solidarity rather than charity enables the human will to overcome, how equality is not a concept but a truth that encompasses all living beings, and how the service of others is not a choice anymore for any of us. It is a duty that all of us must fulfill in the name of humankind. Namaskar and Jai Hind. Thank you.
Well, the International Monetary Fund on Monday also reaffirmed that India's economy is projected to grow by 7.4% in 2018 and poised to regain the rank of the world's fastest growing large economy. The fund's World Economic Outlook update, released in Davos, gave a rosier estimate for the current year than the Indian government. It estimated that the gross domestic product, or GDP, will grow at 6.7% in 2017-18, compared to the 6.5% figure given by the Ministry of Statistics and Programme Implementation. Saying it expected a pickup in India, the update stood by all the projections it made last October. It projected a growth of 7.8% in 2019. China, which is 2017's growth champion with a growth rate of 6.8%, is expected to slow down to 6.6% in this year and 6.4% next year. The IMF estimates for India are slightly better than the World Bank's estimate of 7.3% for the next fiscal year made earlier this month.
Global growth has been accelerating since 2016. And all signs point to a continuous strengthening of that growth this year in 2018 and next year in 2019. So this is very welcome news. We need robust international cooperation if we are going to tackle shared problems. And that includes fighting corruption, improving the international trading system, tackling tax evasion, addressing climate change issues, and on and on.
The other big story we're tracking, the two-day ASEAN-India Business Summit kicked off in the national capital on Monday. The country is pledged to create a liberal, facilitative and competitive investment regime in the region to foster economic growth. Meanwhile, Commerce and Industries Minister highlighted India's trade deficit with ASEAN nations and sought better market access for its products and services with the 10-nation bloc.
An ASEAN-India Business and Investment Meet. Biggest ASEAN-focused event that India has ever organized commenced on Monday in New Delhi. Trade and Commerce Ministers of the 10-nation bloc are attending the meet. Speaking on the occasion, Commerce and Industry Minister Suresh Prabhu said that India-ASEAN trade and investment relations have been growing steadily, with ASEAN being India's fourth largest trading partner. Prabhu, however, sought removal of barriers to foreign investment in order to stimulate new investment flows between India and ASEAN. He also underlined the importance of building physical connectivity with the ASEAN region to further strengthen the economic ties.
We must continue to make endeavours to initiate appropriate steps for the review of ITIGA as it would address the problems faced on ground by businessmen and investors on both sides and would further deepen our economic cooperation.
Meanwhile, Minister of State for External Affairs General V.K. Singh said that India's Look East policy puts the ASEAN region at the centre of its engagement.
Partnership has been to our mutual benefit, and together we have contributed to regional growth and stability. At this juncture, when we celebrate completion of 25 years of our cooperation, we look forward to continue working with ASEAN in regional and international fora.
The annual trade between India and ASEAN stood at $71.69 billion in 2016-17 against the total trade of $660.6 billion, which constitutes a significant 10.85% of India's overall trade. While the total exports in 2016-17 stood at $31.07 billion, imports stood at a figure of $40.63 billion. Hence, the trade balance with ASEAN countries is adverse to the tune of $9.56 billion. India has the maximum trade with Indonesia amongst all ASEAN member states and also suffers its biggest trade deficit with it in the ASEAN region. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya TV.
And continuing their record run, the stock markets touched new highs with benchmark index Nifty hitting 11,000 for the first time. In early trade, Nifty surged to 11,023, while the Sensex rose over 200 points to 36,017. Higher global markets and optimism about India Inc.'s third-quarter earnings and economic recovery lifted the domestic market sentiment. The all-time high was led by the rally in the shares of heavyweight companies like Reliance Industries, Infosys, HDFC. The rupee was also trading higher at 63.76 as compared to Monday's close of 63.87. In fact, Sensex and Nifty both remaining strong even at the moment. We'll keep track of all developments and get you more national news after this break. Stay with us.
India at the high table in Davos. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hard sells to the world the idea of a new India. Watch the Prime Minister addressing the Davos plenary session at 3:30 p.m. live on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. In more national news, the Shiv Sena has decided not to align with the BJP in the 2019 Lok Sabha and Assembly elections. The decision to this effect was taken at the party's national executive meet in Mumbai today. The Sena has 18 MPs in the Lok Sabha and is part of the NDA alliance at the centre. At the meet today, Aditya Thackeray was named member of Shiv Sena's national executive. The announcement is the latest in a series of public criticism that the Shiv Sena has levelled against its senior ruling alliance partner in Maharashtra. But so far, these have been in reactions from individual leaders and articles in its party mouthpiece, Samna. Former Gujarat Chief Minister Anandiben Patel was sworn in as the Governor of Madhya Pradesh today. Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh, High Court Justice Hemant Gupta administered the oath of office to Patel at a function at Raj Bhavan. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan, MP Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, his cabinet colleagues and other leaders were among those present at the ceremony. Patel, the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, is now full-time Governor of MP. Earlier, Ram Naresh Yadav retired from the post in September 2016, following which Gujarat Governor Om Prakash Kohli was holding the additional charge of the central state till now. The general budget for 2018-19 for Jharkhand has been presented. Chief Minister Raghubar Das presented the annual budget in the Assembly during the ongoing budget session. Das holds the financial portfolio. Delivering the budget, Das said that the aim is to bring electricity to every home before Diwali this year. Doubling the income of the rural population in the fiscal is also a focus of the state budget. Women empowerment and employment generation is another focus area. The state government has laid a budget proposal of 80,200 crore rupees before the State Assembly. Prakash Rawat has taken charge as the 22nd Chief of India's Election Commission. Rawat succeeds Achal Kumar Jyoti, who retired on Monday. Rawat has a tenure of almost a year till his retirement in December 2018. He will oversee elections in Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland scheduled for next month. Crucial states like Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh will also go during polls under his watch. A 1977 batch IAS officer from the Madhya Pradesh cadre, Rawat had taken charge as Election Commissioner of India in August 2015. The Supreme Court has rejected the plea of the Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh governments against the release of film Padmavat in the two states. Rejecting the interim applications filed by the states, the court said that people must understand that the apex court has passed the order and they must abide by it. Refusing to modify its January 18th order, the court has paved the way for the screening of the film in these states. The court has also said the governments should allow the order and if any need arises, states are at liberty to approach it. The two states had moved the apex court seeking a recall of its order allowing the screening of the film in theatres across the country on the ground that it would create law and order problems in the two states. In Delhi, the Aadmi Party has moved the Delhi High Court challenging President Ramnath Kovind's decision to disqualify 20 of its MLAs on the recommendation of the Election Commission. The bench will hear the petition on Wednesday. The fresh petition was filed after 20 disqualified legislators withdrew their plea in the Delhi High Court on Monday. This was because their petition was deemed infructuous, as President Kovind had already issued a notification to disqualify them. President Ramnath Kovind had on Sunday okayed the Election Commission's recommendation to disqualify the Aadmi Party legislators for holding offices of profit as Parliament secretaries. The full dress rehearsal for Republic Day Parade was held today at Rajpath in the national capital. Among others, contingents of the Border Security Force, Sashastra Seema Bal, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, Indian Coast Guards, Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy and Delhi Police were seen marching on the ceremonial boulevard on Tuesday. The rehearsal began at 9:50 a.m. from Vijay Chowk and the parade ended at Red Fort. Today is also the 121st birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and on this occasion a function to pay floral tribute was held in the Central Hall of Parliament House, where the wall is adorned with the portrait of the great leader. From establishing and leading the Indian National Army to forming alliances against the British during World War II, Netaji was among the key figures to lay the foundation for the modern Indian state. Several functions are being held across the country to mark the day. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have paid rich tributes to Netaji on Twitter. On to international news, and in the US, President Donald Trump has signed a short-term government funding bill ending a 3-day shutdown. This came after both houses of Congress voted to approve the temporary funding bill. Earlier on Monday, the House passed the continuing resolution 266 to 159 after the Senate passed the measure 81 to 18. The measure funds the government till the 8th of February, before which Democrats and Republicans need to address a long-term solution to the government funding and on issues related to illegal immigration. The vote comes 3 days after the government officially shut down on Friday midnight after an impasse between both parties. Claiming victories in his standoff with Democrats, President Trump signed the measure into law and government operations would return to normal from today. The elected leaders will now return to hashing out a deal on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals or DACA program, which protects nearly 8 lakh so-called dreamers brought to the U.S. as children from deportation.
A statement here from the President of the United States that I will read. Quote, I am pleased that Democrats in Congress have come to their senses and are now willing to fund our great military, border patrol, first responders, and insurance for vulnerable children. As I've always said, once the government is funded, my administration will work towards solving the problem of very unfair illegal immigration. We will make a long-term deal on immigration if and only if it's good for our country.
And now some news from the Australian Open. An ace Belgian player, Elise Mertens, has advanced to the semi-final of the tournament, beating world number 4 Elina Svitolina in straight sets 6-4, 6-love. A big upset in the tournament so far was South Korean star Cheong-hyun beating six-time champion Novak Djokovic out of the tournament in the fourth round, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. Cheong will now face American player Tennis Sandgren in the quarterfinals today. In the women's singles, top-seeded Simona Halep and German tennis star Angelique Kerber have qualified for the quarterfinals in the tournament. Halep defeated Naomi Osaka of Japan 6-3, 6-2, while Kerber beat Taiwanese Seiyu Wei 4-6, 7-5, 6-2. Kerber will next face America's Madison Keys for a place in the semi-finals. And in some good news for India in the mixed doubles, Indian player Rohan Bopanna and his Hungarian partner Timmy Babos have advanced to the quarterfinals. The duo easily dominated their opponents Vanya King and Franco Skuga in the pre-quarterfinals by 6-4, 6-4. The Indo-Hungarian mixed doubles team next faces Juan Sebastian Cabal and Abigail Spears in the quarterfinals tomorrow. That's it on the Midday News. Thank you for joining us.